Hello coaches, today I'm going to go over change of direction dribbling, random cone setup. Turns off the dribble. Okay, so you have random cones set up all over your grid. First start off with the players in between the cones. Alright, nobody's on a cone. Really the cones are there to keep the kids spread out because they tend to gravitate towards the center. Okay, everybody has a ball. That's essential. And we do turns back and forth. Okay, the turns are the hook and the U-turn. The hook is the outside foot. The U-turn's the inside foot. The step pull turn, the Cruyff, and the one-footed and two-footed step over. So there's 6 turns. They go back and forth as fast and hard as they can. Take about 15 seconds, time them, and some competitions here is how many can get to, for example, after you do 15 seconds of each, maybe a competition would be first one that gets to 6 U-turns, raise your hand and say done, and that's the winner. So that's a little competition you could do there. I'd save the competitions till the end unless you have a really dead group and you're trying to lively them up. All right, so you go through the turns. The key is there's no steps in between the turns. So, for example, this player does a U-turn, 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 trying to limit the steps in between the U-turns. Okay, so once you go through all that, all 6 turns, and everybody's comfortable with the turns, then you put the cone into play. The cone represents a defender. The player is here and the ball is on the outside and they're shielding the defender. Keep the player in between the ball and the defender. So now the turns end up out here. The arm bar needs to be out holding the defender off. The defender is the cone. Okay, arm bar here, ball here. So then the U-turn and the hooks and the step pull turns and the Cruyffs and the step overs go over here. Okay? This gives the player a perspective of where the defender is so they can work on their shielding. Again, no steps in between, and you go through all the turns. All right, once you complete that, then you start combination turns. So, for example, you have the player here, ball here. You do a U-turn on this side and a hook on this side. You do a Revolino on this side, 2-footed step over on this side, or a Cruyff on this side and a step pull turn on this side. Try and keep them into 2-turn combos or 3-turn combos. All right, once you complete that and go through that, then it's time for the competitions. On the competitions, you need more cones than players because you're going to have them moving around. And if there's the same number of cones versus players, it ends up players standing around. So, for example, I have 6 players and I have 12 cones. So now they do 2 combinations. For example, a U-turn and a hook, and then they find a new cone. Step pull turn and a Cruyff, find a new cone. So everybody's doing that at the same time. Start off with first person to get to 3 cones wins. Raise your hand and say done, and that's the winner. You could do 4 cones. You can do all the cones. Another competition would be most creative. You can have them do any combinations. They can make up a few turns themselves. A good one is to have them do a hook, and then they do shuffles back and forth and do body fakes. That's creative, and add some improv to the session as well. You get most creative award, like I said, and then you could also have hardest worker award. It's endless really on the competitions that you can do. You could say that you have to do a step pull turn and a Cruyff, and then find a new cone. You got to do a hook and a U. You got to find a new cone and do a step pull turn and a Revolino and a 2-footed step over. So you can make different patterns. It's really endless. But the key to unopposed training is the competitions to create energy, excitement, and fun while they get the hard work in with the defender on the side. Once again, this is change of direction, dribbling turns, random cone setup. Enjoy the session.